Remember rushing home from school, throwing your backpack on the floor, and catching that fiery phoenix blazing across your TV screen in 1978? Battle of the Planets wasn't just a cartoon, it was your after-school religion. 5 color-coded heroes, explosive space battles, and a masked villain who lived rent-free in your nightmares for years. Today, we're pulling back the cape on G-Force and exposing the production disasters, forbidden storylines, and outright bizarre decisions that turned a Japanese eco-thriller into America's gateway to anime. These are 10 wild facts you didn't know about Battle of the Planets, and by the time we reach number 1, your entire childhood understanding of this show is going to shift dramatically. But before we jump in, if you love deep dives into nostalgic retro cartoons that shaped your childhood, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss when we uncover the hidden stories behind your favorite shows. Coming in at number 10, the shameless Star Wars ripoff that actually worked. It's 1978. Star Wars just obliterated every box office record in existence, and every producer in Hollywood is desperately searching for their own galaxy far, far away. Sandy Frank attends a trade show, spots a Japanese series called Gatchaman, and immediately sees dollar signs floating in space. His strategy was brilliantly obvious. Take this Japanese show and make it look like it belongs in George Lucas's universe. Slap on a title that screams cosmic adventure, add a talking robot sidekick because R2D2 printed money, and hope American audiences wouldn't notice the obvious inspiration. The approach worked flawlessly. Battle of the Planets became America's first anime phenomenon, pulling massive ratings by riding those Star Wars coattails without shame or apology. Here's where things get fascinating. The original Gatchaman was about environmental terrorism happening on Earth. No space odysseys, no twin suns, just grounded ecological horror with ninjas fighting corporate villains. Frank's team had to invent an entirely new backstory about alien invasions and distant planets just to justify the cosmic rebranding. They transformed a gritty, earthbound ninja saga into a space opera, and somehow we all embraced it completely. In today's entertainment landscape, this would be like taking a show about climate change and repackaging it as a Marvel multiverse adventure. Back in the late 70s, though, nobody filed lawsuits, and we got an absolute phenomenon born from pure corporate opportunism. Sometimes creative theft produces genuine magic. At number 9, Keyop's adorable stutter was covering up nothing. Keyop, the pint-sized teammate who talked like a malfunctioning computer, became instantly memorable for his beep-bop-chirp speech pattern. The official story we received claimed he had a genetic defect from being a lab-grown experiment. Tragic backstory, very futuristic, made him seem vulnerable, yet special in equal measure. But that entire explanation was a complete fabrication from start to finish. In the original Gatchaman, this character was simply a street orphan who spoke normally, no beeps, no chirps, no genetic explanations needed. American producers looked at him and decided he needed to be cuter for Saturday morning television. Their solution involved giving him a speech impediment and blaming it on science fiction experiments. The reasoning was purely commercial. Make him adorable so kids would buy the merchandise. Conspiracy theories spread like wildfire through schoolyards. Fans insisted the chirps were covering up censored Japanese profanity, convinced that somewhere in studio archives existed a version where this kid dropped actual curse words between backflips. The reality was far more mundane. They simply wanted him to sound endearing to maximize toy sales and viewer attachment. The psychological impact this dubbing decision had on an entire generation deserves academic study. Every single one of us spent recess mimicking those beep-bop sounds, thinking we were channeling something cool and mysterious. We turned a lazy dubbing shortcut into a cultural phenomenon. Keyop wasn't damaged goods. We were just incredibly susceptible to manufactured cuteness. Fast forward to modern animation standards, and this would be called forced quirky character syndrome and criticized heavily online. Back then, it was considered innovative voice acting worthy of praise. Number 8. Your breakfast cartoon was hiding a massacre. Picture your 8-year-old self eating sugar-coated cereal while colorful heroes save the planet on your television screen. Wholesome Saturday morning entertainment designed for young audiences. Now consider what actually happened in the original Japanese version: pilots ejecting into fireballs and dying in graphic detail, civilians getting vaporized by giant mechs with blood and screaming, ninja fights that showcased genuine brutality without pulling any punches whatsoever. Gatchaman presented war's true horror in animated form, and the creators refused to sanitize the violence for younger viewers. American censors watched this material and immediately panicked. Their solution involved editing out every single death and replacing it with absurd explanations that defied basic logic. Explosions that clearly killed everyone became evacuations complete. Massacres transformed into robot battles where only mechanical casualties mattered. They literally recorded new dialogue to convince viewers that nobody ever died in this intergalactic war. Despite visual evidence to the contrary, the editing couldn't scrub everything though. Dark humor leaked through in strange ways that created tonal dissonance. Tiny would crack jokes about another near apocalypse while standing in obvious aftermath of mass destruction. The dialogue never quite matched the sanitized visuals, creating this uncanny valley effect where cheerfulness covered carnage. It's comparable to watching an action thriller, but every death gets replaced with, "Don't worry, they're just sleeping." We sensed something felt off about the tone. We just didn't realize we were watching the family-friendly version of significantly darker source material. At number 7, Zoltar had a sister, and the story gets deeply weird. Zoltar, the masked villain, the threatening voice that dominated every episode's standard cartoon antagonist, trying to conquer everything in sight, until the shocking reveal that he possesses a twin sister named Mala, who serves as his feminine evil counterpart. The behind-the-scenes explanation reveals genuine insanity. In the original Gatchaman, the villain Berg Katze was gender fluid, a mutant who could shift between masculine and feminine forms at will. Revolutionary concept for anime in the 1970s. Absolutely terrifying for American network executives who could barely handle basic social progress. Their solution involved splitting one character into two safer siblings to avoid controversy. Problem theoretically solved, except they made both characters share the same voice actor, Keyop, giving them identical vocal patterns that created a deeply unsettling shared consciousness effect. Fans immediately picked up on this strange creative choice, and theories exploded across early internet forums and fan magazines. Were they telepathically linked? Two halves of one fractured soul? The ambiguous lore went into dark territory. Fan speculation produced increasingly bizarre theories about their connection. And somewhere in the cosmic ether, psychology professors were taking notes about the unintended implications. Modern shows would have kept the original concept and probably won awards for progressive representation. But 1978, America chose a different path. Instead of one gender-fluid villain, they created twin siblings with creepily synchronized voices and left fans to wonder about the exact nature of their bond. Brilliant strategy for wholesome family content. Fact number 6. The episodes aired in complete random order because production was chaos. Some shows have minor continuity errors, small plot holes that don't quite connect properly. Battle of the Planets took that concept and launched it into absolute orbit with spectacular incompetence. Here's what actually happened during production. Tatsunoko Productions shipped 105 episodes worth of film reels to America, late, completely unlabeled, in total disarray with zero organizational system. The dubbing team had no idea which episode was which, no translation guides provided, no story breakdown or episode summaries. They just started dubbing whatever reel they grabbed first and hoped everything would somehow work out fine. To cover the massive plot holes this chaos created, they invented an entirely new character, Zark 7, the chatty robot narrator who'd interrupt with ready room segments that explained absolutely nothing useful. His actual job was distracting viewers from the fact that chronological storytelling had completely collapsed. The results were magnificently disastrous. Mark would reference teammate deaths that never happened on screen. Jason's car would be flipping through explosions before any chase scene occurred. Characters experienced emotional breakdowns about events we never actually witnessed. It resembled watching a jigsaw puzzle assembled by someone wearing a blindfold while spinning in circles. But this chaos accidentally created something magical. The show felt dreamlike, surreal. fans started creating elaborate theories about alternate timelines and parallel dimensions, just to explain the continuity nightmare rationally. We transformed production incompetence into genuine mythology that people still debate today. Imagine if a major franchise released their film scenes in random order and just trusted audiences to figure it out. That's essentially what Battle of the Planets did, and somehow we loved it anyway. Fact number 5. There's a lost episode nobody's ever seen. Animation vaults hide more than just old footage. Sometimes they contain complete ghost stories that haunt franchise history. Somewhere in Sandy Frank's archives allegedly sits a full Battle of the Planets episode that was scripted, voiced, and recorded in 1978. Then vanished without explanation. The plot involved Spectra creating an evil clone of Zark 7. Consider that concept. The annoying comic relief robot getting a dark twin for an entire episode. The Hanna-Barbera voice crew recorded all the dialogue. Janet Waldo, veteran actress behind multiple characters, insists she delivered those lines personally. Studio paperwork confirms the episode existed in production schedules, and then complete silence. Lost during the syndication scramble, according to available records, tapes misplaced in warehouse moves, scripts buried in filing cabinets and forgotten. The episode was abandoned like a digital ghost, haunting the "what could have been" section of anime history forever. The emotional weight crushes dedicated collectors. This isn't just a lost episode. It's a piece of childhood that exists somewhere in a dusty storage facility, but will probably never see daylight. It's the ultimate forbidden artifact of 1970s animation. Fans have searched for decades, digging through estate sales and abandoned storage units, hoping someone's grandmother kept the right VHS tape in her attic. It's the animation equivalent of the Holy Grail, except instead of eternal life, you'd get a robot having an existential identity crisis. And honestly, for dedicated fans, that discovery might be worth significantly more. The tragedy feels delicious, the mystery remains eternal, and somewhere that evil Zark clone waits to terrorize us all, if anyone can actually find the footage. Fact number 4. The robot narrator had full romantic fantasies about the team. Now we need to discuss the strangest subplot in Saturday morning cartoon history. 7 Zark. 7 wasn't just your friendly exposition machine providing story context. He had a legitimate crush on Princess, complete with animated sequences showing her blowing kisses at him while his circuits literally glitched from robotic attraction. Understanding how bizarre this was requires context. We're watching teenagers save the planet from alien invasions, and the secondary storyline involves a tin can experiencing mechanical puberty. They gave him a robot girlfriend named Susan, named after a real secretary the writers never actually met, by the way, and turned the whole situation into a strange Cold War-era romance subplot nobody requested. This discount R2-D2 knockoff received more relationship development than the actual human characters risking their lives. While G-Force fought cosmic threats, Zark sat in his Neptune base daydreaming about holding hands, or whatever robots do for romance. The writers devoted genuine screen time to exploring whether mechanical consciousness could feel authentic love. And here's the remarkable part. It actually worked with audiences. Zark's awkward flirting became iconic and memorable. Kids didn't question the logical absurdity. We just accepted that this hovering calculator possessed deeper romantic feelings than most flesh-and-blood heroes on screen. Compare this to today's content where every relationship must make thematic sense and serve the narrative purpose. Back in '78 though, what if the robot narrator developed romantic feelings was considered premium storytelling? Frankly, the sheer audacity deserves respect. Fact number 3. Mark's dead father wasn't actually dead. Surprise twist. Mark, the leader, the guy with the yo-yo weapon and perfect hair, cool, collected, never rattled under pressure, except his entire character arc builds on unresolved abandonment issues nobody bothered explaining to American audiences. Buried deep in the actual lore sits this heart-wrenching twist. Colonel Cronus, his grizzled mentor from the doomed planet Riga, is actually his father who faked his death to go undercover infiltrating Spectra. They reunite in a tear-jerking finale amid exploding mechs and laser fire. And suddenly, every stoic leadership moment Mark displayed was just him, compensating for childhood abandonment trauma. The American version significantly softened this revelation. Producers thought it was too emotionally heavy for young viewers. But the original Gatchaman went devastatingly hard, showing flashbacks of young Mark waiting for a father who never returned home, learning to fight because he had nobody to protect him from the world. Here's the beautiful detail that emotionally destroys you upon reflection: Mark's signature yo-yo weapon, a childhood gift from his father before he disappeared. Every single time he uses it to save the world, he's literally wielding his unresolved grief as a tool of justice. Every bird-style flip represents a subconscious cry for paternal validation he never received. This represents the kind of psychological depth that modern superhero movies spend 3 hours carefully exploring. Battle of the Planets buried it in subtext and immediately moved on to the next explosion without dwelling. So yeah, every time you watched Mark lead G-Force with that calm confidence, you were actually witnessing a kid who never processed being abandoned, channeling his pain into protecting others. Heavy emotional content for a show about space ninjas. Fact number 2. Hollywood keeps trying to reboot this and keeps failing. Spectacularly success naturally breeds imitation attempts, and imitation breeds apparently a graveyard full of canceled projects and broken dreams. Battle of the Planets sparked a decades-long chain of failed revival attempts that reads like a cautionary tale for Hollywood hubris. In 2003, someone greenlit a CGI redub with new voice actors that immediately tanked because production costs spiraled out of control. Nelvana pitched Phoenix Ninjas in 2016, killed before it even left the concept development stage. Disney circled in 2005, sniffing around for a royalty-free nostalgic glow-up, then backed away slowly without explanation. But the wildest ongoing speculation involves the Russo brothers. Yes, the directors who made Avengers Endgame, the highest-grossing film in cinema history. They've been developing a live-action Battle of the Planets movie since 2019, according to trade publications. Think about that timeline. Directors who successfully coordinated the most ambitious crossover in cinema history looked at this show and thought they could crack the adaptation code. And then, complete radio silence. Development hell swallowed the project whole without mercy. Fans remained split on predictions. Either this thing's going to explode onto screens like the fiery phoenix in all its glory, or it'll crash harder than Tiny after a double shift at the diner. There's no middle ground for speculation. This franchise appears cursed to haunt Hollywood pitch meetings forever, tantalizingly close to rebirth, but perpetually trapped in pre-production purgatory. It resembles watching someone repeatedly try to catch lightning in a bottle, except the lightning keeps shocking them, and the bottle keeps shattering. At this point, the failed reboot attempts have become more entertaining than any actual reboot could possibly be. Fact number 1. 20 episodes were too dark to show you, and they change everything. Take a deep breath. Here's the revelation that recontextualizes everything. You probably thought you watched the complete Battle of the Planets saga. All 85 episodes front to back, the whole story told. You're actually missing 20 entire episodes of content that producers deemed too psychologically disturbing for American audiences to handle. These weren't minor edits or trimmed scenes. These were complete full episodes from the original Gatchaman that featured child sidekicks exploding in test tube experiments gone horribly wrong, eco-terrorism plots ending in mass suicide sequences, graphic violence that would make modern anime fans genuinely uncomfortable. They didn't just edit these episodes, they completely buried them, pretending they never existed in the first place. When ADV Films finally released an uncensored dub in 2005, Western fans witnessed the true scope of what had been hidden for decades. And the biggest revelation completely changed the show's fundamental nature. The Luminous One, the mysterious alien entity pulling strings behind Spectra, is revealed to be a parasitic cosmic horror that's been puppeteering Zoltar like a flesh marionette the entire time. Process that information carefully. The villain you thought you understood was just a meat puppet for an incomprehensible alien intelligence operating beyond human comprehension. Your entire childhood understanding of this show's stakes was fundamentally wrong. This wasn't just heroes versus villains in a straightforward space adventure. It was humanity desperately fighting Lovecraftian nightmare fuel that Western censors decided you were too young to process emotionally. Those 20 hidden episodes flipped the entire narrative from plucky heroes save Earth to desperate survivors fight unknowable cosmic evil beyond their understanding. The tone shift is absolutely seismic. The implications are genuinely horrifying. And most Western fans never glimpsed this darker, richer story until they reached adulthood. It's the ultimate edited-out apocalypse. The real story, hiding behind the Saturday morning cartoon you remember, fondly makes you wonder what other childhood shows were protecting you from without your knowledge. You stayed until the end, so here's your reward. The iconic fiery phoenix almost received a completely different name that would have changed everything. During initial localization meetings, Sandy Frank's team seriously considered naming it the Eagle Strike Force to emphasize American patriotic imagery. They wanted bald eagles, stars and stripes, the complete nationalistic package. The only reason they kept Phoenix was because someone intelligently pointed out that mythological rebirth perfectly metaphored how they were resurrecting this Japanese show for American audiences. Pure fortunate luck saved us from G-force flying around in something called the Freedom Eagle. Sometimes the universe protects us from our worst creative instincts. This was definitely one of those moments. So there you have it. 10 wild facts about Battle of the Planets that prove your Saturday morning memories were built on beautiful, chaotic fabrication. From shameless Star Wars inspiration to censored carnage, from lost episodes to failed Hollywood dreams, this show was a magnificent disaster that somehow became genuinely legendary. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned!